morning. This morning, I have the pleasure of introducing to you Keith Fanselow. Fanselow? Fanselow. Say it again? Fanselow. You got an extra syllable in there.
Yeah, I like the extra syllable.
An extra syllable.
Italian.
This is the first time I think we have met.
Yes.
So we're getting to know each other. And someone told me to ask you this question.
Oh.
What's the most unconventional thing you do to build your business?
You know, that's a great question. What's unconventional? Let's see. I think that the most unconventional thing that I would do to build my business is probably not that unconventional for a realtor, right?
Okay.
But I do just talk to everybody, you know, and it's like I wear a sandwich board. Everywhere I go, I just like to meet people. And I feel like it's kind of like, I've been so lucky to be in real estate because it makes me happy. But like, I love to meet people. Okay. Like, I could meet somebody, you know, at the gym and talk to them and find out their life story, and then they buy a house for me, you know? So I think unconventional is kind of like the name of the game for me. It is a relationship business. So I think you have to build a relationship to get business.
Okay.
I feel like I've met clients, you know, in very weird, I've had a lot of weird situations happen once I get a client. I mean, we all have, but you know what I mean? When I first started, like, I one time I don't know if I should say this because I'm going to get in trouble. I showed the wrong house. You know?
I actually have a friend down in Florida. They sold the wrong house.
Oh, that's good. I didn't do that.
They sold the wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually caught it the day of closing, so they didn't get all the way through. But she said we were sitting at the closing table before anyone realized that this was not
the right address.
Oh,
that's crazy. Yeah. So I think unconventional is kind of the name of my game. I really try to break molds.
Okay.
I'd hate to be like anybody else.
All right.
But how do you know how many realtors are in NASBAR? 530.
We have about 4,000 in our office.
4,000.
4,000
realtors. So how do you differentiate yourself?
Well, that's the key thing. I think differentiate is something that's important to you. How do you be different? How do people remember you instead of the other 3,000?
Right. And I think kind of being out there and, you know, outgoing and myself.
Okay.
I think being confident in who I am and being so out there, like, people are like, oh, wow. How does she do it? Like, you know, I mean, like, I think sometimes people are shocked.
How long have you been doing this?
4.5, 5 years.
Okay, so not long.
Not long at all.
What'd you do before this?
You know, I was kind of a jack of all trades. I never had like a real career before this. I worked the retail hustle in the city for 10 years, which is, retail is hard. I was a manager at a boutique, weekends, nights, always being on. It is not easy. You think it was just it's not glamorous. And then I was a stay-at-home mom for 8 years, but I always had a little bit of trick or trades. I ran PTO. I did all those things, and I just, my husband had a career change. It was 2020. It was the pandemic, and I was like, I got to get back to work. My son went to kindergarten, and I just said yes to everything, and I got hooked up with another NASBAR agent, and she was very successful, taught me so much, and I just worked my butt off. You know, I worked 70 hours a week during those first couple years.
Okay.
And I just jumped in.
What did you do when you were working? That's what agents want to know all the time. What is it you were actually, I get new agents who say, one of the craziest questions I got was, that stumped me, because, you know, I've been talking a long time.
Yeah.
She said, okay, everybody is telling me, it's brand new. Everybody is telling me this, everybody is telling me that, everybody is telling me.
Yeah.
What is your advice for, what should I prioritize?
Right.
And I had to sit there for a minute and think, because, you know, I'm worried about MLS, I'm worried about you learning that. I mean,
right.
I finally said, you know, I'm only going to give you one thing that you need to do every day. You need to go find clients. Because if you don't find clients, you have no business. So whatever else, it's nice to know.
Right.
That's the need to do.
You have to have a network.
Okay.
I feel like it doesn't matter what it is. If you like pugs, go to your local pug and find the people that love pugs. You know what I mean?
Do you have a pug?
I don't. Okay. I don't. But like, I mean, somebody likes pugs.
Oh, you bet.
There's something for everybody, right? So I feel like if you can find, you got to find your niche, and it's hard to find those things. You have to kind of explore that. And I don't think you have to be everyone's like, well, you're so outgoing and you're so energetic and you don't have to be in real estate. There's not everyone is like me. I mean, a lot. I think that you bring strengths and weaknesses. One thing I would say to new agents is, two things. Number one, no one's going to hand you a thing. Any team, any person, anybody who's going to promise you that they're going to give you leads or that they're going to do this, you got to do it yourself.
Okay.
That's the number one thing.
Don't believe it.
No, don't
believe it.
Because it's just not the way it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're an independent contractor, And yes, working on, but then the second thing is I do think it is good to work for somebody or work on a team to get that experience. Because it's hard to build business without putting in those mechanics, like working open houses, right? Or watching how things work. I think you have to learn a lot of things.
I think that's the hardest thing I think that's the worst thing that COVID did to us. One of the worst things.
Yeah.
It made people come out of the office and stay out of the office. Because in years gone by, you would go with the two older, I don't mean old in age, but the two experienced agents, you'd go to the open house in the car with them and they'd say, do you know, and that was stuff that I couldn't teach you because that's on-the-job training.
Right.
I think that on-the-job traiam is harder to acquire now than it used to be.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the whole work-from-home thing is a huge problem. I am a huge office worker. I love working in the office. I don't think I cannot work from home. And this, again, it's all personal, right? But I did transfer companies. I'm with Compass now, and they have a great office experience in the Barrington office. But I needed that. Like, I needed a community where I could go, and I would recommend to any new agent is to go and sit in the office too, wherever you work for.
I would too.
It is where things are happening, and also you just talk to other, and you can pick up on other things. You can't be an island.
Okay.
I would say islands, unless you have. But like there are some people who have a lot of common sense, but you have to have a little bit of experience.
I have to listen to you how you're handling that client that's yelling at you on the phone. I have to be able to sit here and say, how is she doing that?
Right.
I'm going to learn just eavesdropping
By
on
watching.
your conversation. I also think being a realtor in some ways is very lonely work.
It
and learning, I learn by watching people.
Yes.
But once you get started, you don't ever get to watch anybody, really. You don't get to go on listing presentations. After the beginning,
I went to listing presentations for 2 years.
That was great.
Yes, it was like going to church.
But most people don't get to do.
No, and I was so lucky. And
yes.
And it was I had so much experience, and I learned so much by watching and observing and keeping my mouth shut.
Hard for me.
Me too. And just learning. And I think you learn a lot about what you want to do and what you don't want to do. And I think that everybody has their own style. So it's okay to, I would never do that. But it's like then you find your own way, right? And then you think, when I go to a listing appointment, I love to talk, but as a realtor, this is goes with the lonely thing. I totally believe that, it's hard to sell yourself. There are people who can really sell themselves.
Right.
And you do have to kind of sell yourself. But I'm I don't want to hear myself. Nobody cares about what I do. But you have to be able to draw that line of being an authentic person, right? Connecting with someone.
Yes.
But also then selling yourself.
Yes.
And so my goal right now is kind of really working on the selling myself as a realtor. It is hard, right? Because you go to these Tom Ferry things, or you do these things like you got to do this, you got to do this, and you got to talk about yourself, and you got to have a presentation, and you got to say, I did this, I climbed Mount Everest, I'm the best. But it's also who wants to hear that? Nobody cares.
Well, it's one of the things I've been talking about a lot, and people really struggle with this. They open with, I've been in business for 30 years.
Right.
No one cares.
I did this. Nobody cares.
What I have been talking to people about is having some hero stories.
Okay.
Hero stories are, I bought a refrigerator to make this deal close. I did this to make the deal close.
Oh my God, I can't even tell you how many things I've done to make the deal close. Can I tell you the best deal close story?
Tell me the best deal close.
But yes, I love a hero story.
The hero stories, and that's not me selling myself, that's just telling you something that I did to help people. Which is a little bit easier than saying I was in business for 25 years. I know
everything.
I know everything.
This is how we used to do it.
Right. This is an example of what I did do.
Right.
Yes. Tell me your best hero story.
Well, it is not, I wouldn't tell it to a client. So it's good for realtors.
Okay.
Because
I think it's only realtors who are watching.
I do too. But also I would tell clients too. But it's not something that I'm going to, this is not, it's.
You don't want to give them the idea.
Yeah. It's just like, exactly. Yeah. So I had a house under contract with it was my listing. Okay. I had a buyer. And it was on the market. It was a long time for our market.
Yes.
It was on the market for 3 or 4 months.
That's a long time.
Yeah. And we started high and I needed that price. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to be patient. I'm going to work it. Because sometimes you just say yes to everything when you're newer, right? Like you have to be able to go above and beyond on every single thing that you do. Because you need to prove yourself.
Right.
And when you need to get that referral. So it is really sometimes almost, I would say, working with a small time realtor, you get so much more personal attention.
Yes.
But everybody's different. And I think teams work in great ways too. But so anyways, I had this house under contract. I had my own buyer. So I had dual agency. It was a house kick-out clause. And so I got a call because, it's funny now that Zillow, realtors know. A nice realtor called me. She's like, hey, can I show it? It looks like, I'm like, yeah, I want the best for my seller.
Right.
Even though I have it under, I wanted the best for my seller. Right. So let's show it. I'll meet you. They were both teachers. They had dogs. They're my friends. I was like, and so I did a company. It was a $900,000 house. So it was like, I was agent a company. And she's like, okay, let the dogs out. I'm like, okay, I'm going to come show it. I walk in the door. Oh, thank God. I'm never early. I'm usually walking in an agent and company at the same time. I got the lockbox, and I walk in. I was 10 minutes early. I was in a big fancy dress with down, flowing. It was summer, late summer. The dogs were in the mudroom, and they had.
Oh.
I walk in the back door of the mudroom, and there must have been 17 piles of diarrhea.
And what are you going to do?
And what am I going to do? Just close the door and be like, we're not going to show it today?
No.
So I get my dress and I tie it up around my waist. And they were friends of mine. And I knew that, and I have 10 minutes here to get this house. Yeah. First thing I do is open all the windows. Thank God it wasn't, nice it was like a summer day, but and it kind of had a little wind in it too. And I just went underneath their sink and I grabbed all their cleaning supplies. Yep. Because I was like, this is it, and I threw it all down and I picked up all the piles. The dogs are running in the backyard. And I am just like, I'm just getting it up, got a plastic bag, got all of it underway, cleaned the whole thing up. I mean, if I told you there was 10 piles, there were 10 piles,
I know.
And, then I'm like spraying the room, lit all the candles in the house. And, they were a little bit late. They walk in, they're like, hey, great. I'm like, hi, how are you? Going to sell this house today.
Yeah.
And
that's a hero story.
And guess what? They bought the house.
That's a hero story. Yeah. And I think those are so much more effective than I've been in business for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's good to be.
I don't think you should put that on your website.
No.
I mean, you could, but
also I don't want to tell it at a listing appointment. Right. You know what I mean?
Really.
But I do think that it is one of those things that realtors need to know. Like, what are you going to do? There's only certain things that you have to do to get the job done, and you got to be able to. I mean, I've cleaned bathrooms. I've cleaned, showers.
Ants. I got rid of ants.
Yeah. I mean, the things that we do to get it done. I'll do it. And there's not a lot of grace in it, but it's about rolling up your sleeves
and working
hard.
Well, that's what you said. I started with 70 hours a week working hard.
Yeah. I mean, and now I still work that much, but it's not the same kind of work, right? Like when you're grinding for somebody else and also learning, right?
Yes.
And being a support assistant. But what was good is that I learned how to do a little bit of everything, right? And figure out what I'm good at and what I'm not good at.
What are you good at?
I'm good at relationships.
Okay.
I'm good at communication.
What are you not good at?
I am not good at organization.
Do you have someone helping you with that?
I'm cheap. I like to do everything myself.
Okay.
I'm really learning a lot about, I'm still new-ish. I know I'm not. People are like, you're not new. But this business moves so fast, and I am a really good doer, and I'm a terrible teacher. I cannot teach. So I can just do it. It's just sometimes easier for me to do it myself than tell somebody else to do something.
Okay.
So what I'm working on is figuring out what I need and getting it done and asking for help.
Okay.
So right now I do have a transaction coordinator that has really taken a lot off my plate.
Good.
And that came through my business, through my brokerage, and I didn't have to teach them.
They know how to do that.
Yeah. So and also like I want a yin to my yang. I don't want, if I'm going to hire, like right now I need to find a little bit of balance. Not good at balance, obviously. I don't know if many realtors. Some realtors are.
Some are better than others.
Yeah. But I also am very communicative. Like I'm on top of, with my clients, I think communication is key.
Okay.
And the more communication, the better. So I'm very good at that.
What are your favorite clients?
Oh, gosh. I talked to a client yesterday, and you get so close with your clients. I mean, I've become so close with my clients.
It's a very strange business in that way.
Yes.
That for this brief period of time,
yes,
you are in a very intimate relationship with them.
Very intimate.
And then you may never talk to them again if they move far away.
Totally.
But for this period of time,
you know everything
you're
about
in.
Yeah.
You're in. Yeah.
I'm like, are you so sick of me? I'm like, I'm sick of me. Like, I mean, no, but they're waiting to hear from me.
Yes.
I'm like, I'm sorry to bug you again, but like, I mean, here I am again, and
Yes.
it's like, and they're like, no, thank you so much for.
Yes.
But I'm like, oh, I know everything about you.
Yes.
I know your kids. I know. So, I had a client. We went through a long process. It was a 2 big transactions, and I talked to her yesterday, and she's like, where are you? I have not seen you. Like, you not my friend anymore. I'm like, I have to tell you, I sold their house a year ago, and I said, I haven't really had a favorite client since you until I have a new favorite client right now. I'm like, don't worry, she's different. She's, she's young, and they have babies, and it's a different kind of a relationship. Yeah. But I had a little boy come in and say, I was just saying this, we went and showed up to a house, and I was playing Spider-Man with them while the parents looked, and he said, when we have our new house, will you come over for dinner? And
nice.
I was like,
oh my, yeah.
It's like, this is,
Yes.
I'm tired, I'm running. That was such a, those little things that fill your cup aren't financial. They're not when you close a big deal. It's like those little things.
It's those little things.
And
write
it's
them down.
I know,
Do yourself
right?
a favor, write them down.
Okay. And I just don't ever want to forget that. Like, I
That's
really.
what I'm saying, write them down.
And like when I have to maybe go on a tour on 7 o'clock on a Wednesday to try to find a house that
doesn't exist.
doesn't exist. But it's like, okay, we're going to find it. I'm going to take that little piece with me and go, because those things matter.
I used to have a box. Every time if you look at my desk, there are thank you notes I have on my desk. I used to have a box, and on bad days, and there are some that are bad days.
So bad.
I would take them out and read them and think, okay, you're not so bad.
Right.
This is not horrible.
Right.
You really have made an impact on someone's life here.
Right.
You're really, but I saved all those. Make sure you save them.
Yes. And those little moments and the little things that really you don't ever want to. I never want to be I am at this kind of crossroads. It's like, do I become a bigger team? Do I grow? Or do I just kind of stay tight in who I am?
And both are okay.
Totally.
Both are okay.
Yes. And to not know right now is okay, too.
Sure.
And things change all the time.
What do you think is going to happen in the next 2 years?
Oh,
in
boy.
real estate?
Well, I think we are in a micro market. I think Northern Illinois and our suburbs in the next 2 years, I think we're going to stay pretty steady. I think that we're not like the rest of the country because California, Tennessee, Florida, they're seeing such a huge slowdown.
Yes.
And I'm not feeling that in our market at all, because I think we're in such an inventory crisis.
Yes.
And I don't think our inventory crisis is going to go as.
I don't think it's going to. Where are we going to get 200 million houses in the next 60 days?
No.
It is what it is.
There's not. I mean, yes, we're always going to have people now exiting Illinois because of this. But the good thing I try to be sometimes positive too. The good thing about Illinois is you can buy a really nice house for a good price here compared to the rest of the country.
Compared to other parts of the country.
And it's all relative, right? Coming from California, not coming from, Michigan, you could. But Illinois didn't have the home building boom that these places that are having those inventory crises. They had mass builders down there building new communities, mass housing, and we have not had that. We don't
Not lately. We had it for a while, but not in the last 20 years.
And not in the last 5 years.
Certainly not in the last 5 years.
Right, and there's not really anybody coming back here to build a lot.
Condos. I'm sorry, not condos, rentals.
Yes.
Rental units. That's what I'm seeing. That's all I'm seeing being built is rentals right now.
Rentals. So, and again, rent is so expensive.
Do you know in Crystal Lake, they're building right off Route 14 in Crystal Lake. It's nice. They're townhouses. I think these are going to have a view of
the lake.
The lake. They're like $4,600 a month.
What?
What?
But also, you think about this. I had this nice renter. She's sold her house for a lot of money, 1.2. And she's like, I don't want to spend $5,000. They had in between, they were going to get a rental. I'm like, do you know how much your mortgage is right now? I think if you buy a $500,000 house, $550, with taxes, you're looking at $4,400 a month. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's how much it costs.
That's how much it costs. But it seems still when I
so high.
Well, and I'm wondering how, and they're renting them. I mean, they're renting the units they're building all over Crystal Lake. Makes me nervous to have all these renters. I'd like them to be homeowners.
Yeah.
Really. That's the old mom in me.
Yeah.
Let's get a house here, guys.
Yeah. And I also think, if you are spending $4,400 a month, you should be making a purchase.
You should be making
And
a
I think
purchase.
that real estate is the best purchase you can make.
Right.
And I think that it's hard. It's just hard to get right now.
They can't find it. That's what the issue is. They
I'd
want
love to find it.
This lovely new townhouse with a great view.
Right.
And, all right, I'm paying for that. Now, if I go buy this house, I'm going to be on a house. I'm going to buy a house that needs work.
The furnace is going to break. The AC is going to break. The roof's sold.
And it's not really all that fancy.
No.
It's not. I mean, this one has everything is
bells
new
and
and shiny and
Yep.
everything. This one's going to have white appliances.
Yeah.
That I don't want.
Totally.
I mean, it's hard to believe you'd still find them, but you do find white appliances.
Oh, sure. If you can find them.
If you can find them, yes.
In lower price points,
Right,
And I do think, it's really important to work with an agent, and that's my favorite. One of my favorite things about I love the find. Like we were talking about TJ Maxx earlier because we both are TJ Maxx lovers.
Yeah.
Like I love to go in the back of TJ Maxx in the back row with all the red things, and I just want to go through and find that one piece that's like for $12, but it might be even like $150, but it was a good deal, and there's only one of them.
Yep, and it fits.
And it fits.
And it fits.
And it's like, okay, and it was just magic that day. But 7 other times I went there and I didn't find anything.
Yes, right.
But that's the hunt. I love to find it. I love to work with buyers and find it.
And find it.
And it takes years.
For sometimes. You have clients. I think we have clients longer than we used to. Because there's no inventory, so we have to hold on to them longer.
Right. And that's another thing for new members of NASBAR is a lot of people, there is such a line right now of once you find the house, right, after you've looked for 2 years, then what? Then you have to line up everything so fast because you can't do things like, we're still in such a seller's market. We're in a seller's market. You can't give a home sale contingency. You can't
do any of those things.
No.
You have to
give away your first child.
Right, exactly.
I mean, and it is really hard to line those things up.
Yeah.
And it goes like that.
That's where you need your assistant to help you.
Yes.
Because you've already had the fun part. You've already done the hunt.
Right.
Now I need someone who will do all of those
things that
are not fun.
Right.
Yes.
And also like the staging and the house prep.
Right.
And so, but the paperwork. There's a lot of paperwork.
There's a ton of paper. People have no idea how much paperwork.
Oh my gosh. I could spend days doing paperwork.
Right.
So that is one thing. I've handed the paperwork off, and that has been like a huge game changer.
Okay.
Because I should be out meeting clients.
Right.
But also it's like hard when you're building, right? Like you're just doing everything you can as fast as you can.
Right.
And everything I have to tell new people too, everything comes in a wave in real estate. And everything comes in a wave, like I think in my personality too. I just said I think Mercury's in retrograde.
Okay.
I had a really bad couple days, and I was like, not bad, but I'm like, the tides have turned. All of a sudden, it was like a quick, and I just love to I believe in energy. I think energy is such a huge thing in life.
I think in real estate, you can't be like someone who wants to sit on the couch and watch TV.
Totally. And I think you attract energies through networking.
And doing that.
Yeah. And energy can be lots of different things. I'm definitely not everyone's cup of tea, and I morph, of course, because it's business, but you can find a cup of tea anywhere. Mm-hmm. There are people like everything. There are so many people out there who have the same things that you like. If you like, playing video games, you could find a network for video games.
There's a whole group of people who like to play video games.
And you know what? You could target
you can find them these days with the internet. You can find them.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think working those things is find what you love and find to work that that network, right? And it doesn't have to be, you know, what you think it is. It doesn't have to be PTO. It doesn't have to be, but your church. It could be different kinds of, but those are all places.
All places.
You know?
That's the advice I'm going to leave us on today. I want to thank you for coming here today. This was a blast.
Oh my gosh, so fun.
We will run into each other in TJ Maxx one day.
I know, in the back row.
In the back row.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a note, the views of our guests may not reflect the views of the North Shore-Barrington Association of Realtors.